Hello and welcome to Reinfused. This is another low effort video. Just a few we're doing this month just because we're doing a lot of other stuff, like we're doing Kickstarter, which as you can imagine takes a lot of my time, but just also that we're waiting for other technical things to come together to make other videos. So just to keep the videos rolling, we're doing a few of these lower effort ones. So this one, I recently, if you follow me on social media, you'll have seen that I received a bunch of joysticks from Japan, which I won for the tiny sum of £1. Although once converted with delivery and such, because they're quite heavy, it was a lot more than that. But I kind of thought, well, okay, I could show off these and other joysticks that I've got, because obviously with different machines I've got a whole range of them, including joysticks that I just received in auction lots and such like. So I said, if I was going to do a video about joysticks, should I just do another low effort one like I did with the BBC micro loading tapes, or should I just do a quick short where I just very quickly show joysticks within that 40-second time span? And the poll came up with doing a low effort video, so here we are. So here you are, looking down at our other stained top that we use for demonstration. So I guess first of all, let's take a little look at some of the joysticks that I got that kick this off. So this is stuck to the table. Okay, so those suction caps certainly still work. Oh my word. There we go. So this is a quick shot, which is designed to look a little bit like a more futuristic plane style thing. It's even got an artificial horizon in the centre there. Now, yeah, it's quite a bulky thing. If you look at the size of my hand, I've also got large adult hands. So this is quite big. And again, yeah, the suction cups plainly still work. It's an interesting little device. It's got the older game port style connector for PCs. Yeah, would be interesting to try. Lots of turbo fires, not a terribly huge amount of buttons. These which obviously change some setting, possibly how the motion works. And yeah, it's only one motion, so it's just rocks, doesn't go back or forward or anything. So yeah, that's an interesting one. Right, I've done nothing with these joysticks, so yeah, gird yourself. This one is absolutely filthy. This is a Microsoft force feedback joystick, so it's powered off, so this is quite loose, but it's got motors inside which hold it taut. So if we look, where is it? There's a power plug in there for just a standard figure of 8 cable. These do work on 110 and 120 and 240 volts, so it will work in all regions. Yeah, these were fairly big in the when it came out, and but this is USB, so this is kind of a later model of them. I don't know if they did these force feedback ones in GamePort or not, I don't know, but yeah, so the game could fire signals back and it would change the motor, so give you more. So if you needed more pressure, like you were doing a roll, or so a gravity roll, it would put pressure on, so you had to use more force to turn it and things like that. So generally the motors are broken, or at least the things that moved it. So we'll find out when we try and use this after it's been given a good clean, obviously. I also have another one of those that's in a much cleaner state, but obviously I won't bother getting that out. So here is a power commander, apparently using Samwa parts. My friend Neil will be interesting to hear. Yeah, this is a moderately standard flight stick. It's pretty cool though. It looks pretty realistic. It's got the little toggle switch there to change things, and 2 buttons there, and yeah, a couple around here, and a trigger, and these to change this, and buttons and the switches at the back, presumably for auto fire modes and such like. Again, this is a game port joystick. Kind of cool. Yeah, this one is a shame. So this is basically the same joystick as that one, but it's rebadged as IBM. So that's kind of cool. This one, however, has taken a bit of a knock. The parts to fix it are inside. There's kind of there's a mount which has got a metal bit that goes into these holes, and that's broken off. But I've got all the bits inside, so I will repair that one. Again, game port, obviously. This is a bit of a smaller brother to the other Microsoft one. and doesn't have all the fancy force feedback stuff, but it's got all the nose switches and stuff, and triggers, and the throttle controller, which has got, because I thought that was broken, but they're all like that, so I guess that's how it's supposed to be. And yeah, some more buttons on the base. I guess you just map to different things, but yeah, just a very, very simple. Oh, it's also got a twisting motion, so obviously there's something there as well. Interesting. And the final one is a boxed one. So the Pro Flight Control System. Obviously, for a certain era, flight sims were very, very popular. I guess in the same way that car sims are now, with all those bits that you can buy. But this one just kind of feels like someone's taking a metal base, and this is properly metal and quite heavy, and just stuck a joystick on there. Nothing wrong with that, of course. Having the heavy base is, of course, apparently the heavy base was patent pending. Is good for a joystick. It doesn't need suction cups because it does just sit there on its own. Yeah, the usual array of buttons and the hat control, and pretty good. Again, game port. Yeah, this is a Thrustmaster, and as you can see from the manual, so we actually do have a manual for it, and all the little gubbins as well. Oh, hello, what's this? Oh, right, you could buy premium templates especially for it. That was nice of them, offering those for sale. Kind of cool. Cool to have it boxed. Right, but let's move on with the kind of the more bread and butter ones. These are actual retro like console and computer ones, so these are ones that I picked up over the time with consoles. Sometimes it's just part of an auction. I will say there won't be kind of more obvious ones, like there obviously won't be any like N64, SNES, PlayStation, Xbox, that kind of thing. Everyone's seen all those. I've got plenty of those around here because they made lots of them, so everyone that collects retro consoles has probably got lots of them. But there will be things like the Spectrum and Commodore and Amstrad and stuff. So first of all, there's this one. What is this one called even? Oh, the Super Joy 28. So there you go. This is a very tiny little joystick. Two buttons on there, which I would imagine are both connected to each other and connected to that top one at the top, because this era they generally have one button on the, certainly in the European computers. There's a Quick Joy Junior SV119. This feels so light. It feels really, really light, and yeah, the motion is horrible, and the buttons are all squidgy. Not a good joystick at all. Right, here's an old standby. The Cheetah 125 Plus. So this is one that I used a lot as a kid. The motion is not great again, there's no mic switches, I think they're all leaf switches inside here. The buttons there are at least relatively clicky. These top two are quite squidgy, but the bottom two are clicky. These are all the same button again. Pads still work. The switch it's missing like a little plate here, but that's basically an auto fire. Yeah, I had a lot of these, mainly because they broke a lot, especially Dave Thompson's Decathlon. They've got like a thin metal shaft that runs bottom to top for the joystick, and that tends to melt if you're waggling it for so many rude things in this video. But never mind, if you're using it for like an athletics game or something, and so it would just break off. So yeah, went through a few of those, but then they weren't particularly expensive either. So oh, there's another one. Like I said, there were a lot of those around. Oh, number 3. Oh, they also, I guess I should say, they've got this double thing. So this is Sinclair and Kempston. So it will work with the majority of the computers from that era. Here's the QuickShot 2 Turbo, which is a much beefier machine. It's got another autofire on the back again. This one missing its plate. Lovely micro switches, which is good. Buttons are micro switched again, they're just one button again, but yeah, much nicer joystick than the other one. Lots of textured thing when you're holding it and stuff. Very good. Yes. Not so good. This is a licensed Terminator 2 joystick for Judgment Day. Yeah, they did a few of these, so of different characters and stuff. Like, this is the only one I've got. I think Ashens has got a few of them. Yeah, they're really, really uncomfortable to use. There's a button up there, look. Not a great motion to begin with. The buttons are squidgy, and yeah, just not in the slightest bit comfortable to hold. Sticking on the subject of controllers that aren't comfortable to hold, this thing, obviously designed to look like a well, like an aeroplane, I guess, or motorcycle handlebars. Who knows? Either way, it's horrible to use. The crosshair is there, the button is there, and that's how you're supposed to kind of use it like that, but it means your thumb gets really tired quite quickly. It can be used with different computers, so it's got these which changed what they're used for, so MSX and Amstrad, Commodore, Spectrum. Autofire as well. Is there a, yeah, there you go. There's a key on the back to show you the different joysticks. So yeah, Atari, Commodore, MSX, Amstrad, and Sega, in fact. I guess at this point Amstrad was they used that as a synonym for Sinclair as well. So yeah, really uncomfortable, which is kind of a shame because there weren't that many great pads for that era. This is another not particularly great joystick. So this is a Cheetah Annihilator. This particular one came with my Commodore 64 game system. So a terrible joystick for a terrible console. Yeah, just horrible movement. Squidgy buttons, yeah, just not great at all. Now, we've covered this on the channel before, and this is truly bad. This one comes with its own interface for a very specific reason. So this is an infrared joystick. So yeah, you got this and this horrible dial controller, fire button, and yeah, it's infrared. Uses a PP3 battery to power that. And yeah, it comes with I can get this out without tearing the whole thing into shreds. It's not feeling likely. Guess it goes out the bottom. Still got the instructions, nothing matters. Yeah, so this comes through. It's got a pass through, which is good. But yeah, just an infrared receiver really. If you look at the video, we never really got this working. Unsurprising. It's I would imagine, well, there's lots of things that can fail infrared stuff in this era, so yeah, it's terrible anyway. Right, this is an interesting one. So this is the joystick I got with my Thompson M05 springy joystick. Not too bad action, but obviously no micro switches, but this is on with a very strong spring, so that's something. Now, if you know vintage computers, then you might recognize this shape. This is exactly the same shape as the certainly the European Odyssey 2 controller, and they do indeed share exactly the same molds. I'm not entirely sure why they share the same molds. I'm sure there's information out there about it, but they do. Kind of interesting. It's not actually a terrible joystick either, which is also interesting. Right, now this is a kind of an interesting one, I guess. So this is the Virtual Boy pad. I no longer own a Virtual Boy. I sold that on. If I remembered I'd had this extra controller, I would also have given that to the person I sold to, but I forgot. So these were interesting because they had the power came from the actual stick itself, so it all got fed through here along with the movements, and there were two things that could slide onto here. So there was a battery pack and a PSU pack, so you can power it via batteries or by a power supply. So yeah, they're it's not a brilliant controller. It does kind of feel, especially considering some of Nintendo's controllers, it feels a little bit phoned in, but there you go, that's the Virtual Boy controller. Now this one, this is the Neo Geo pad that came with the Neo Geo CD. It's not one of the ones for the new machines. As you can see, it's got a proper connector, not a USB socket. Unfortunately, like the current ones, it doesn't actually have any sound. They should have micro switches in it, but this one is broken. I need to find replacements for those. But yeah, every good SNK pad has micro switches, and this one will again at some point. It's a good pad. It works really well. I'd say when the micro switches are in there, it worked at least as well as the Neo Geo Pocket stick, which is a high bar indeed for this kind of thing. I really should have brought out the other Neo Geo controller I've got, the giant arcade stick, which I use, but it's over there. I could go and get it, but this is low effort after all, so it's good. Just accept that. This is one of my many CDI controllers. This is one of the original controllers, which is infrared. It's not terrible, really. There's worse, certainly. We've seen worse in this video. But yeah, it's obviously it's not great either. It's a weird one-handed controller thing, which you kind of understand for something that was supposed to be on TV. We've also got somewhere, there's another 2 controllers somewhere. I'm wondering where. Let's go back with the 8-bit micro side of things. So move that out of the way. It's another one of these quick joys, but this one is boxed. Yeah, let me take it out actually, because we've got that. We've already seen this quick joy. That's this one, which is horrible. Just interested to see it in the box. You can kind of see there it says that it's Atari, Commodore, and CPC. So yeah, not designed for Spectrum according to that. I'm not sure if it wouldn't work with a Kempston interface though, but maybe not. Just on the actual Spectrum front, we do have a Cheetah joystick interface. Very, very simple. I'm assuming this is a Kempston style interface, I would imagine. Doesn't say anywhere. I'm guessing there were instructions at some point, but this is an unnamed one. It's it's not terrible. It's not. There's no micro switches, but it doesn't feel too squidgy. These are micro switch, but they do have some decent travel on them. So yeah, I'm assuming that's a Spectrum joystick. I'm assuming. This is the Zip Stick. It's a fairly well-known joystick. Nice micro switches on the buttons and on the stick itself. It's a good joystick, this one. Pretty strong as well. I kind of like this. It's not universally loved, but I certainly do like it. Triple fire action, single shot, rapid burst, mega burst, continuous fire. Okay, I guess that's what this... I've never noticed that I had that before, but I guess that's what that switch to the side is. It's kind of hidden artfully on the side, so I've never noticed it before. Yeah, this feels like it's a terrible joystick. I don't know yet, I haven't tried it. So this came from one of my patrons. This is the apparently K-Tron Stealth. Now, you'll probably be thinking there doesn't appear to be any controller on this, and you're right. Those are 2 buttons, which are, I mean, heavy duty. They feel like they're giant leaf switches inside there. An auto fire, of course, that one's jammed, but also that's a fire button as well. And I'm guessing, I don't know how this controls. Maybe it's got some kind of a stats movement detection. I don't know. But anyway, be interested to take it apart. I'm really hoping it doesn't use mercury, because that obviously you want to know about that before you take it apart. Here's another one of those CDI joysticks. This one is basically a cabled version of the other one, although it's got a much more terrible D-pad. This one really is horrible. Now this one looks like the cheapest market stall joystick you can get. This wasn't an official joystick, so here we go. This is the joystick that came with the, or you could at least get for the Amstrad emailer. So if you don't know the Amstrad emailer, it was a very weird phone device, which later ones had kind of video phoning technology as well, but it had lots of functions built in, like internet-based functions, things like emailing and some web browsing and stuff. But it also had games built in. Mostly it had Sinclair Spectrum, emulated Sinclair Spectrum games based in it, and this was the controller you used. It was really weird. So there's a keyboard on these machines, obviously, for emailing and things, and they're connected via this style of thing, and this one basically just sits in the middle, and I'm guessing just fires the same button, presses across to the machine. A lot of these have been put away for a while, so they're a bit dusty. Anyway, this is a kind of a third-party 3DO controller. I say third-party, I mean most of them were kind of third-party because of the way the 3DO thing worked. But yeah, this one doesn't have the piggybacking functionality that a lot of the other 3DO ones did. But it's just, it's alright, it's not bad, it's not a terrible controller by any means. The buttons are alright, they've got a decent amount of travel. And this seems okay as well. I don't use this one, I use well, the one we'll probably come up to in a minute, to be honest. Indeed, that's this one. So this is the Gold Star controller. This is the one I use because I do have a Gold Star machine, and this does have, if we take this off, the piggyback one, so you get another joystick and plug it in here, so you have 2 players. Kind of an odd way of doing things, but I guess it kind of made sense. If you were both sitting on the settee, then you just have 2 joysticks next to each other. That makes more or less sense, although opens up the realm of cheating, of course. It's not terrible, it's alright. It's not bad, plays all the games pretty well. The shoulder buttons aren't the nicest, but it's fine. So this is the joystick that I use the most on Sinclair Spectrum and MSX and Commodore and Amstrad. So this is the Cheetah Bollistick. Now I've taken the mick out of this joystick a lot, because when you first try to use it, it's quite hard to get used to, because, well, you can kind of see it if you look at it there. This is at an angle, which takes a little bit of getting used to. Once you do get used to it and you kind of use it like that, so your thumb's on there, it works really well. This has got a lot of really good movement on there. The buttons are really good as well. The auto fire I've never got working, but that's probably something game based rather than anything else. There doesn't seem to be anything electrical wrong with it anyway. So yeah, it's a good joystick. I do enjoy it. I'm on a PC Engine joysticks now. So here's the Avenue pad. This is a pretty famous pad. So this is considered one of the best ones for the PC Engine. Probably correct. It's very, very good. This has got really, really nice fast movement. The buttons have got just the right amount of travel. They're really well thought of. It's got obviously the normal turbo fire, which all of the PC Engine ones, most of the PC Engine ones have. It's kind of built in. It's also got slow mo, which does the usual thing where it just makes pause keep hitting and unhitting, which is not the greatest thing, but hey, it's there. Yeah, good. It's a good pad. It's one of the most favoured, I'd say. But here is the pad that I generally use. So yeah, this is the P8 PD5. This is the one that came with the shuttle mostly. Although some core graphics did come with it, I think it's maybe later ones. But this is a good. It's just a good pad. It's very, very comfortable to hold. This is pretty much dead on. The buttons are really nice as well. So yeah, this is it's just my favourite pad because it's just very, very responsive, and it's just about exactly the right size as well, which is good. So this is an interesting one. So pachinko obviously is a huge deal in Japan, and this is a pachinko controller. It also comes with a pachinko CD-ROM, so it's got a game built in. Well, with it, not built in, you know what I mean. So there's the controller, the little flicky button, so you can flick the ball bearings things, and yeah, it comes with this pachinko game. It was cheap, and I bought it because it was in the box, and I thought, yeah, well, it'll be fun for a video. And I kind of never did a video on it, and I suspect I never will, unless someone explicitly says in the comments that they want a video on it. Which now I've said that, you probably will. I probably won't do a video on it, to be honest. I guess we'll continue with the PC Engine then. So this is what we use, because the PC Engines in general only come with one controller port. So here's a multi-tap, and you get lots of these. I've got another one somewhere, which is 4 of them. But yeah, this is just a very simple 2-player one. Yeah, they're quite nice. They work, at least. It's my understanding they were very cheap to buy at the time. So this is kind of the standard turbo pad, but this one, the purple colouring means that this came with a white duo, R or RX, I think. But yeah, these are all good. You know what, the PC Engine pads are all pretty good. They all work quite well. And this beast, this beast is the Turbo Stick. It's quite heavy because it's weighted for obvious reasons, because it's got this. It's really, really, really nice. The PC Engine is good at, especially good at one particular kind of game, or rather, they had lots of good examples of shoot 'em ups. And this is fantastic for shoot 'em ups, but it's also pretty good for fighting games like Street Fighter. This works really well on as well. So yeah, no, it's a good stick. lots of travel on these buttons. These are obviously the auto fire, so you on and off, and also how turbo those auto fires are as well. So that's cool. Yeah, it's a really, really good stick if you want to play shoot 'em ups. This is the Illust Booster, and I guess it's not really a pad in the sense, but it's a type of controller certainly. This is a drawing pad, and there are a group of like kind of creation tools that existed for the PC Engine with printers and what have you, and this just let you draw on one of the things. We've covered this before on a video, I believe, and yeah, very, very simple, but it works. I'm wearing the last, there's at least one more, but I think this is the penultimate probably. So these are the pads from the Pyuta, Pyuta, or well, in fact we will say just Pyuta range of computers, and also the Pyuta Junior console. They're pretty much the same for both. They're awful, these little disc things, kind of harkening back to the Intellivision, and two separate fire buttons at least. But and both of them are on one plug. So player 1 and player 2 are connected together. They're pretty bad, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't exactly a machine that did well. Well, I don't think I've done this one yet. No, there's a couple I haven't done down here. Okay. So this is an FM Towns pad. There are a couple of variations of this one. This one is the same model as the Mighty one, although the Mighty one also does have Mighty written on it, but this is close enough for me. It's alright, it's not a bad pad at all. It's got quite a lot of decent travel there, and the buttons as well, so yeah, it's quite comfortable to hold. Yeah, pretty good. This is an MSX joystick, so this is the Casio TJ7. It's heavily based on Casio's TJ1, which was the controller that came boxed with the PV1000. Just the PV1000 had a lot more buttons, but yeah, it's not great. It's not a great joystick at all, but you know, it's serviceable. It works. All right, there are more, but I think we'll finish up with this one. So, I mean, people on this will probably know the history of Sega's consoles. We knew about the Master System as our first kind of real console in the certainly in Europe. Australia had, and France to a small degree, had a version of the Mark series of consoles, the SG series of consoles. And the Master System was effectively Mark 3.5 really. But these were the joypads that came with the SG series, and yeah, they had a little screw-in joystick as well. Yeah, they're fine. They're a bit spongy on the buttons, and this isn't the greatest, but they were, you know, they were experimenting still in this phase. Nintendo hadn't quite set down the definitive edition of how this stuff worked at this point, so yeah, it's not terrible. But that's the SG 1000. I think that's the Mark III edition, I think. Right, that's it. that's a wealth of joysticks. More joysticks than anyone really needs to know about. But it's another low effort video, so hey, there we go. I've got more joysticks obviously, but I think that's probably enough. Right. If you like the video, please hit like. If you really like the video, please hit subscribe. If you didn't like the video or you have something else to say, then please leave it in the comments below. If you do want to know about any of these separately, you can just drop a comment below or contact us. It's fine. If there is something you want covered, even the pachinko thing, then yeah, let us know and we'll certainly put it into the schedule to cover. Yeah. Oh, bell icon to get told when new videos come out. Patreon and YouTube membership if you want early access to videos, like my patrons will get this video early, or exclusive videos as well. Yeah. See you next time.
The present is horrible, the future looks bleak. Remember our childhood to get us through the week. We're getting re-enthused back to the past and the things we used. We all know that our pasts were great, escaping the things that today we hate. Getting re-enthused.